Today, I take on the most ambitious ant farm build project yet on this channel. If you want to make a DIY setup for your pet ant colony, stay tuned, because today's video is about how to make a naturalistic island formicarium for your pet ants using these materials. Right after the intro. Hello and welcome or welcome back, if you are already a subscriber, to another Ant Vienna video. If you are new to Ant Vienna, then our intro should have given you a rough idea of what we do on this channel. Lots of ant keeping. Part of ant keeping is how to make an ant farm, also called a formicarium, for your pet ant colonies to live in. In the past, we have experimented building homes for our ants with a few materials, like utong, plaster, and other combinations. These ant setups focused mainly on being able to closely monitor our growing ant colonies. However, there are other very elegant and natural ways to keep your ants too, if close monitoring is not a necessity. One of them is to create a naturalistic setup using soil and real plants, which many ant species have in their natural habitats. And this is exactly what we are going to do today. In our last video, I gave you an update on our dual queen Lasius Flavus pet ant colony, while also informing you that we will now be covering this new colony with 3 queen ants instead from now on when talking about Lasius Flavus. That being said, that's enough idle chat for now. Let's get this formicarium build started, shall we? Please be kind enough to hit the thumbs up button to let me and the YouTube algorithm know that you guys like my videos, and subscribe with all notifications enabled so you stay up to date. Since you have already been watching them in the background, let's go through the materials we are going to use in order to make this natural ant farm one by one. Just as a little side note, I always provide links to the equipment and materials I use in my build tutorials in the respective video's description. However, since this time I got most materials from local stores, like the plants, I will provide you with links to materials I could find online and you can use instead. Alright, first up, a big, wide glass container, neither too shallow nor too deep. This will be the base of our setup. Directly on it, I will place this stand. Note that you can place your island on rocks too, but I use this stand for extra stability. Right behind it, you can see our next material, marmor gravel. This will be used as a drainage layer and possibly to decorate our water tank. Speaking of drainage layer, we're going to use a few layers of this anti-mosquito net to keep the drainage layer separate from our digging medium. The next step is optional but good to have. Some cocoa husk as a stability layer before adding our digging medium in. And as I'm speaking of it for a while now, here is our main digging medium, a red mix of soil and loam. This will be where ants can dig their chambers in and plants get their nutrients from. And yes, we are going to use real plants in this island ant farm. You can use plants of your choice. Ideally, they should be relevant to the ant species you introduce to your setup. I will be using plants that need watering about once a week. I am holding them to the camera so that you can see exactly what plants I use. Should the plants need less water or the ants need more moisture, we'll have to find a solution as we go. Remember, this is the first naturalistic ant farm I create after all. Next on our materials list is this mixed blue aquarium gravel. I thought this would make an excellent decoration choice. For further decoration, we will be adding this wood piece. Let me show you that a little better. As well as this seashell I found during my vacation in Greece last year. Finally, the core of our setup. I saw this curved vase made of glass in the local store and couldn't resist picking it up. It also fits perfectly on the stand I showed you earlier. If you can't find anything like this, you can just use a glass bowl, like this one. Last but not least, a random bucket. I don't know about you, but I will be washing everything I use for constructing a formicarium for my little pet ants, especially the marmor gravel and the aquarium gravel I showed you earlier. Let's get to our ant farm build now. We'll start with a drainage layer by putting some of the marmor gravel at the bottom of our setup. And by the way, this is why I am washing it beforehand. I don't want this white mess to get in the setup. Anyway, let us add some more gravel now. Next up is our insect net. Let me unpack this first. Well, this is actually very fine, so we will be using a few layers of this and add some of them on top of the gravel. Since we want this to look good, I am going to cut it in size using a pair of scissors. Just a little more. There you go. Perfect. Now, just lay it in like this. Time has come to unpack our cocoa husk. Let me just grab my scissors again. There you go. Okay, the instructions say this block expands to 3 liters when adequate water is added. However, we don't need 3 liters for our little Island Formicarium. So, I am going to take my trusty chisel and knock off a chunk of it. Now that this is done, we'll let it expand in the bucket I have filled with regular distilled water. And this is how it looks after 30 minutes. I'll get you a bit closer. See? This will make a perfect base layer for the digging medium. Let's proceed and add it right away. This looks really stable. Exactly what I was hoping for. I am trying to place this tightly together so the soil cannot escape through and reach the drainage layer. Just fill up this little gap and there you go, ready for the next step. This will definitely be the most fun, adding the soil and then positioning our plants. Notice how I press down the soil quite a bit. I want it to be stable, so the chambers the ants dig don't fall apart. Our plants are up next. We'll start with this one. Let's take it out of its cover. We are going to place it in as it is, including its soil, so we get a rich earth mix. Dig a hole, place the plant in, and fill it up again. This goes rinse and repeat for the two other plants as well. I was a bit indecisive about where to position every plant, especially the last one. Some of its leaves came right off. It's good to take them off, so the ones on top have more room and power to grow. I am finally pretty happy with the positioning of the plants in our setup. Just making some little corrections here and there. About the decorations now. The setup still seemed a bit plain to me, so I decided to go with my secret weapon, black terrarium sand, to optically enhance the looks of our DIY ant farm project. So let the sand rinse on top of everything. Trying to avoid the plants. And yes, this looks much better, doesn't it? Now we can finally place our decorations. As a final touch, to make it a bit easier for the ants to move in, I am making a few holes with this bamboo stick. One in the front and some of them in the back. Now that this is done, I feel the urge to place a few more stones in, to add some contrast. This is our ant mainland, guys. How do you like it so far? We are not done yet though. It's time for the base structure now. As shown before, this will be our base. And now I'm going to put the stand in. And this colored aquarium gravel I showed you before is finally washed and ready to be added in. So let us do just that. Pour the aquarium gravel in. Grade it a bit and voila! Now I will proceed and add a few bigger stones in. Note that these are not just for decoration. I want these stones to be high enough to reach the glass of our island, so that any ants that fall in the water get the chance to return to the island by grabbing themselves on these stones. Now, get ready to place our ant colony's main nesting island on top of it. Whoa, this looks really awesome, guys. Let me rotate this in the sunlight for you so that you can get a better idea of what I am talking about. And now, a closer perspective on the island of this formicarium. Before we go ahead and let the ants explore the setup, we need to add water to the tank. This will keep the ants from escaping, so we will not need any other escape proofing on this setup. And this is how it looks with water added. The final result of our hard work. However, before I let the ants do their thing, I want to give the island a good watering with the sprayer. Make sure to give the sand, soil, plants and everything a good watering for the first time. This is our new official Lasius Flavus colony. They will be inhabiting this island and hopefully make it their own. As introduced in our last video, they have 3 queens and all of them seem to be really fertile. I can tell because the workers of this species often tend to kill the queens that are not laying enough eggs or not laying eggs at all. They are nervous because of the sunlight now. Time to place their test tube on this ant island that we have created. Oops, seems one worker got wrapped in the cotton here. Let me free her really quick. After nightfall, I saw the first workers exploring the new mysterious island they landed on. What will happen to our colony or to the island itself? That is something that remains to be seen. That was it for today, Ant Vivarium family. How did you like the idea of a naturalistic ant farm for our pet ant colony. Do you like how this Island Formicarium turned out? If you have any tips, let me know in the comments below. I promise to read and answer them all. I know, for example, that I could have placed charcoal above the drainage layer to help clean the water that flows down. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any charcoal without added chemicals, so I let that be this time. Anyway, like always, thank you for watching. Feel free to share my video with others if you liked it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys!